Welcome, everybody, to another episode of Realtor Hacks, Tips, and Tricks. Our little intro always gets me excited, but today we've got a solo episode with just me, Halle McCrory, and Casey Stiers. Are tuning in for the first time. We are both real estate agents. I'm in Dallas and San Angelo, Texas, and Casey is in Raleigh, North Carolina, and we're both hosts for Emmy-nominated TV show American Dream TV. If you haven't seen it, it's across all platforms at this point, and you can stream it. It's on cable, so let us know if you ever, or send us a message if you ever want to listen to it and can't find it. But yeah, we have a podcast, Realtor Hacks, Tips, and Tricks, which you're listening to, which is all about elevating and helping agents to be the most efficient that they can be. So it's all about giving tips and tricks and just adding value to other real estate agents' lives because, what's better than giving back and helping people to reach goals even quicker. So today we're really excited. We just got back from New York City together. We were there for the Goldbar Live conference. So if you don't know what Goldbar is, it was created by eXp Realty agent Juan Carlos Barneche, who I absolutely just strive to be. He's very successful. He's scaled himself out of production at this point, which is really impressive to do. And he's an alpha agent with eXp, meaning he's brought in over 1,000 people to the company and has a huge team. And so then he also does real estate investing. He's really successful with that. And he actually created Goldbar, which is gold, a form of wealth. And then bar is short for Barneche. So Goldbar. And it's a real estate training platform and community. I personally love it. There's a couple different levels you can do with it. I got in for the training aspect of it. So he lays out a whole long, couple modules worth of how he built his real estate company and like a whole blueprint basically for you to follow. You just got to put in the work and follow it. And then he actually has a silver membership, which he partners with Ricky Carruth on. If you don't know Ricky Carruth, you absolutely got to go to Instagram or TikTok or whatever your preferred platform is and follow him. He is absolutely hysterical and also at the same time very knowledgeable on just real estate data, real estate history, and predicting future trends to come. And then on top of that, coaching and training. So they've got the silver platform is like getting listings and like all these different challenges and stuff. And then the gold is actually includes their CRM that has AI built into it, which a lot of CRMs do now, but it's basically a white label version of Go High Level, and it's really awesome. And he's got all the blueprints and just like email templates and whatnot that you can just plug in and place into it, which is really nice. So so anyways, him and Ricky or Juan Carlos and Ricky decided to put on a luxury real estate conference, and we did that. So today's March 5th that we're recording this. We were there last Thursday. I flew in. February 28th.
I flew in the 29th, which was a story in itself.
Right. So it was Leap Day this year, February 29th, 2024. Just a one-day I guess it was a one-day conference, and then they ended up turning it into two with us. On the second day, you could actually do a workshop. So we didn't do the workshop, but they're apparently going to do a workshop, in the future in Miami, he said. So I'm down to do that. And it's not that I didn't want to do the workshop. Casey actually invited me in. She does coaching with SERHANT. And shout out John Shaughnessy if you haven't listened to that episode. It was all about social media with Casey's coach, and he's just a total wealth of knowledge. And we had an afternoon or actually like late morning session with him, and so we already had our plan set after they had released that workshop. So we'll do the workshop another time.
Yeah, we need to do another episode on just the experience, like experiencing SERHANT and the condo we got to view.
I think we could include it in. I think we've got time.
We got time today. Okay, we can. I mean, it was a bucket list day. The whole trip was bucket list.
It really was.
What is it? Josh or Aaron Kerman says bump show or elbows.
Oh, rub elbows.
And says always be where you can bump elbows with people, and that's what we did. We put ourselves, due to this podcast, actually, that's how I ended up going, having one on the podcast.
Yeah.
And we went from the podcast to me going to Goldbar. So
I know. I'm like, Casey, you want to go to New York? You're like, sure.
it's an easy. I didn't realize how easy of a flight. I've been, but it just didn't register.
I know, like 50 minutes. It's nothing.
It was definitely an experience. All in all, it was bucket list. I learned so much, and that's what we're going to kind of tap in today. Some of the things we learned and met interesting people. I learned where a toilet is in a swanky hotel. I managed to top the dirt in the martini.
Yes, that was hysterical. Yeah, Casey. So we stayed in Times Square. Casey was at the Edition Hotel, and it's very modern. So they had the toilet kind of hidden. It's not
like a steam room, and you had to push the door, and it popped open. I ended up having to call the concierge to come show me where the toilet is. So he ended up giving me a late checkout. He ended up winning some money because they bet whether or not I would find it. And
I don't know. I don't know if any story can top the Dirty Hennessy.
Oh no, that was ridiculous.
I know what that was actually.
Southern girl goes to New York.
Yes, that. If you want to hear about Casey trying to make a Dirty Hennessy and putting dirt in it, that's the episode we did with Juan Carlos Barneche, which is funny that we're talking about it on this. So
so it was like a whole one dirty martini weekend. So we definitely had a dirty martini at dinner that night in honor of that episode with Juan.
Yes, and I made a whole highlight of it on my Instagram. If you want to see it, I'm at Halle B. McCrory on Instagram, and Casey is at CB Stires. Little subtle plug there.
Not boring, I thought.
Yes. So,
okay, so I have to ask you, Halle, who was your favorite speaker at Goldbar? And why?
I think Josh Altman for entertainment and Dina Golden Taylor for value add. I think that was mine. What about you?
Well, you know who I'm going to say. Let's see if she can guess.
I was going to say SERHANT.
Well, duh, that one, but...
Oh, Aaron Kerman. Duh.
Who?
Aaron Kerman.
Yes, Aaron Kerman. By the way, Aaron, we're wanting you on this.
Yeah, we're going to be
and you told us when we ran into you at Pasties that you would be. The reason why he's my favorite is he is like the male version of me in real estate. It was like,
this is my person.
He is my, what do you call it? Devil's advocate or
doppelganger?
Doppelganger. So yes, because just how he dresses, how he just, you gotta, and the thing he said was, if you're going to take a note today, this would be a good one. Feel yourself, and then you're going to be confident, and you're going to make it happen. So
yeah, I love it.
Yes.
So I guess let's start from the top. I made a list of all the speakers. So first speaker was Rene Rodriguez, who's like I don't know if he's a neuroscientist, but he relies on a lot of neuroscience, but a lot of like mindset coaching. And I guess little disclaimer here, and one of the reasons I loved this conference, I go to a lot of conferences, and a lot of them are centered around like mindset and motivation and stuff. I was really hoping this wasn't going to be that way, just because I feel like I have that in me already. I want the tactical tips, like our podcast. I want the hacks, tips, and tricks, baby. So, and especially with luxury, because I'm moving into more of the Dallas space now. Not that I'm giving up any of San Angelo, but now that I'm, working more of the Dallas market, there's more opportunity for luxury. So I was excited about this conference. But I will say I'm glad there was a little mindset and motivation mixed in, especially at the beginning, because I really felt it got me amped up to listen really closely and take detailed notes for the rest of the day. So Renee's was amazing. I mean, he was great starting it off. He talked a lot about, so there was like 3 different things I can talk about. So the first one, he talked a lot about how our brain as humans just naturally, when there is a gap in a story, our brain is very quick to try to fill in the gap like ASAP without like really, not like no rationale, but like it just takes what your past experiences and fills it in with something, even if it's probably not true. So like, for example, he used the example, like, let's say you walk into your work and your boss isn't there and they're normally there. One person, based on past experience or, what happened to them earlier in the day or the week or whatever, they fill that story gap and say, oh, well, oh my gosh, I hope they're okay. Like, what if they were in a wreck? Like, that's one end. Other end, someone could be, have had a different experience at some point in their life or that week or that day and say, oh, he must be out hitting the golf course or hitting the links, like, and blowing off work and blah, blah, blah. So I think a lot of what Renee was saying was about how we really have an opportunity to control this narrative. And the best way to do that is with storytelling. And I feel like storytelling becomes a common theme throughout the day. So we'll get back more into that. But it was interesting for him to bring that up because a lot of, I don't know, like I feel like a lot of what you hear is like, oh, you can't control what people think about you. But like to a degree, you kind of can. And I think it's important for real estate because, the more stuff or content you put out or more storytelling you do, like you really can create a narrative about yourself, like, and create more authority for yourself or more branding or, a certain image. So I don't know. What did you, oh no, Casey wasn't here for this yet.
On an airplane during that time.
We're giving you the update too, Ben. So that was like one part of it. And then
I will say from what you just said, your recap, I agree with that wholeheartedly. Like if you don't get out there and tell your story, people are going to create it for you. And that's something that SERHANT talks about constantly in all his books and all his trainings. So, I mean, if you think about it, it's everyday people create narratives. Somebody in front of you might just be looking down at their phone, having the worst day of their life. And then you're honking at them, yelling at them. But you created a narrative that they're just a selfish person. But in our reality, they're just, having a horrible day. So,
yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So that was one part of it. Second part, he talked about kind of like motivation. So this was the motivation part, but science behind it. So he, like I said, studies a lot of neuroscience or relies on the research. And he talked about a piece of the brain that was recently discovered, maybe not discovered, but there's been more research on it, and it can grow and shrink. It's called the anterior mid-cingulate cortex. So AMC for short is what I'm going to say. And basically, this piece of the brain expands when you do stuff you don't want to do. You do stuff that scares you, or you do something that requires some discipline, like cold plunge or public speaking, and you don't like public speaking. Or you like making your bed every day. Right.
Making yourself uncomfortable.
Yes.
That leads you ultimately to success. You've got to, Elena Cardone talks about that too, about do something that makes yourself uncomfortable. If you're comfortable, then you're not.
Yes, of course, my ring light just died. We're real here.
We are.
So, yeah, and he was saying that the AMC is bigger in people who are more successful or like professional athletes, like CEOs, like people like that are constantly putting themselves in situations like that. So then at the same time, people like the one example he gave are like people who are overweight tend to have a smaller AMC. So, this is actually like a trackable motivation is almost trackable. So I can't remember where he was like really going with that. I mean, he was just saying like that's something we need to do to be successful. And there's even, I don't know, like
Make yourself uncomfortable.
yeah.
Do one thing every day to make yourself uncomfortable.
Yeah.
I say that a lot too.
You do say that a lot. I love it.
You do one thing every day makes yourself uncomfortable.
Oh, so this is why he said it. So this is kind of, it goes into the third part. So he was saying like doing the hard thing, the process, right? Like we got to embrace the process because this is what makes us better people. Like the process of making our AMCs bigger and really like he called it, suffering. Our suffering is what makes us interesting. Our suffering is what gives us stories, right? And it helps us to tell stories about ourselves. And I mean, like I just said, that's what makes us interesting, right? Like our stories that we have to tell. So basically, roughing it out in the process and digging in the trenches, that's what makes you an interesting person. And that's a lot of what life is about. His. And it's hard. I admit I have a hard time with that. I'm always willing to work hard, but I'm not always embracing the process, I will say. And I'm trying to do I'm trying to be better about that. And I almost feel like I've been meditating more and like trying to journal and stuff, especially in the morning. Shout out to Lauren Plant helping me with that. She was on our podcast as well. I think having that time to be present and reflect really helps with that. Does that make sense what I'm saying?
It does, yes. Mm-hmm.
So I don't know, that really spoke out to me. And like I said, I'm glad he was the first one to kick it off because
it set the mood, making everybody do something.
Because it's going to be like what they say, these speakers say, it's not going to be just.
Well, it sounds like they started with mindset because all the other ones kind of fall in place. What God says, if you can put yourself in a room with a CEO, what's the one thing you want to know? What their day is like. And those of our fellow listeners, that whenever we have a big time person on here, such as Go, Juan, those people, Angie Cole, all those people, I ask them, what does your day look like? Yeah. And I know people are like, why does she always ask that? But that's why. How people break down their day and what they do. Yeah. I'm looking for the thing, what do they do to make themselves uncomfortable each day? Yeah. How are they scheduling themselves? And yeah, I mean, it's just funny to hear how different, but how similar every single one of these successful people's days look like. Yeah. I agree. I love it. So next one is Tal Alexander, who I was super excited to hear speak. And Miss Casey was like at this time and got in a little argument over her seat.
Yes. Right. Right. Yeah. So this one I was hoping for more out of it, but it was still really cool to see him. So Tal and his brother, I think it's Oren Alexander. Oren pretty much focuses on the Miami market and Tal focuses on the New York market. So hearing his stories, that was really interesting. One of his biggest tips was, I would say probably his biggest tips is being the one who knows market knowledge the best in your market. That's what he says always set him up for success because it helps him like be quick on the fly, and that has always really impressed people when he's able to like say like, oh, I know who lives there, I know how much it's worth, I know how much you'd probably need to sell for without even looking at comps. And that's something we all have easy, like we all have access to do that. That doesn't cost money. I mean, you know, being a part of the MLS, of course, but it's kind of interesting because that's a very equal level playing field. Like we all have the opportunity to review data and know our markets. So I thought that was like a really good approachable, and he gave like story instances of, you know, how he's leveraged that. He talked a lot about, you know, just whatever, like you can really make anything into a competitive advantage. So like when he first was getting started out, I think he was either 22 or 26. And, you know, other brokers that were competing against him would say like, oh, well, they're so young, they don't have as much experience as me. Or like a client would say that to them. And they're like, well, yeah, we're young, but we know the market, and you know what? We've actually got a competitive advantage because we don't have kids yet, and we actually work 24/7, 365. So do you want someone who has more time to work for you, or someone who is going to turn off their phone at blah, blah, blah time or whatever? So, yeah, it was cool. Like, little, I don't know, just funny stories. And, he talked a lot, like they talked a lot about, you know, his projects. I mean, they're selling like $120 million homes.
Mm-hmm.
Like what? It's insane. So he was like one of, I guess everybody that was up there is pretty like uber ultra luxury sales. So that was, I mean, we were listening to some of the best of the best. I'm trying to think of what else would tell. I'm thinking if I'm missing anything.
Not really. I mean,
Yeah, I think it was mainly just kind of talking about like his story. And he actually recently started a new brokerage, which I think he was with Douglas Elliman before maybe, and then started his own, and it's called Official. And she was asking him why he didn't name it after, like a lot of people name it their last name or after themselves, like Douglas Elliman, Keller Williams, you know, even Serhant. And I don't know, he was like, talked about how he felt it was hard for other people to really promote themselves under something like that.
yeah.
So I don't know. I thought that was interesting because I went for that same approach when I took my team from Halle's Homes to Empower Real Estate Group. And that gave me a little sense of like satisfaction, I guess. So I don't know. Not that it's bad to name it after yourself, but
Mine's kind of generic. CB Stars. I mean, it's
well, that's personal branding right there. Everybody knows you as CB Stars.
And then later on, we'll talk about ands and like CB Stars and downtown, CB Stars and Rocky, CB Stars. I mean, I got tons of ands to go on and on and on about. But
I think I do too. Okay, so this is.
We're going to talk about my favorite person,
Aaron Kerman.
Aaron Kerman. The
Aaron
man
really dominates the Los Angeles.
He
market.
does.
Lots of celebrities.
His story he told that really resonated about how you dress and things like that. He was driving in a suit to one of his most top listings he had ever had, he was going to the listing appointment, spilled his coffee on him, and all he had in his back was a dirty gym short, black t-shirt. He threw it on, went in, and ended up getting the listing. And he said he felt more like himself that day than any other day. Now, circle back, I left out a part because if you know me, I'm not the best storyteller. ADD. He was dressed in like tennis shoes, which were probably high price. A lot of people don't realize how expensive some tennis shoes could be. Like Philip Morris or Golden Goose. You know, you can dress up a pair of shoes.
Yes.
I'd say with a blazer. And he had on a black long sleeve, like t-shirt kind of thing that has the buttons in the front. What do you call that shirt?
Like a jersey shirt? Yeah. I don't know.
Tennis shoes. And he probably captured more people's attention in there than anybody sitting in there with the suit.
Yes.
They weren't looking at, ooh, wonder how much those jeans are. Wonder how much that watch is. How much that bracelet is. How much, you know what I mean? Like
I was
they
like looking at all the watches.
and or those shoes or that suit. They were focused on him and what he knew and his knowledge. He felt confident. He knew he knows what he knows, and it just, and he says you need to put yourself in those situations where there's an opportunities, whether
Right.
it be to the gym or to the golf course or wherever.
Yeah. So you like basically you need to be places where you're rubbing elbows with people who have houses that you want to sell or would be buying houses that you would sell.
So fast forward, that's what we did. We jumped in an Uber. Halle left her appointment she had in New York. I left my appointment with my potential maybe publisher, and we met at Pasties.
Pastis.
Pasties. I said that wrong, John. John gave me a hard time about it too. And guess who the first person we saw walking in the door? He was on his phone. Was Aaron Kern. And then we told, when Halle walked in, Jess and I were like, hey, Aaron's here. And then we called him over to our table, and we what, aim, fire, set, or set, aim, fire.
Oh, ready, fire, aim.
Yeah, that's what we did.
We'll get back to that. I know that sounds wrong, but that's another little thing we learned.
Yes. So anyways, he was just awesome, from just his little beliefs about when people couldn't sell houses, and then he got the listing and was able to sell it in 2 weeks, to he gave really good nuggets. He didn't hold back. He was open and he was willing to share. And that's a big thing when you get to the top. Be willing to share your story. Because if you are good at what you're doing, nobody's gonna like take your place. There's enough to go around. So
100%. I love that. Yeah. So my, I guess like, so what if, or we're talking about like rubbing elbows with people at places that you need to, you know, where you can pick up people. He was basically saying like, there's people in his office that will just like golf all day and golf with like luxury people and pick up like listings and stuff that way. So like you can really make it your own. Cause I guess another part of that was like, you know, like Casey's story about him. It's like, while you need to put yourself in situations to rub elbows with, if you're going for luxury or you know, whatever your target niche is, like you've got to put yourself in situations where you can meet those people. But at the same time, you want to be yourself, because you're going to be able to, that's where you're going to shine the brightest, and you're going to meet the people that you're supposed to. Does that make sense?
it does. I think we froze.
So I loved that. And he even gave like number data. He's like, I put 30% of my income back to marketing and advertising, and he focuses on SEO and PPC, like Google and his website and stuff, and then Instagram and Facebook. And then he did, like you said, he told that story about how he picked up that listing and got the best photographer in town and sold it within 2 weeks. And they said it was the photos that caught their eye for the buyer.
Froze on your end. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt you.
No, you're frozen on here.
Yeah.
Pause it for a second. Okay, we're back on. Sorry, guys. We had to pause. We're having a little bit of technical difficulties with video. So
the theme of the day, because I mean, the day started out nobody having Facebook or Instagram. So
yeah. Who knows? With the meta outages, yeah. So, well, I guess at least we have the audio. That's the most important part of this. So sorry for the people who watch on video. I don't know if it's working or not.
All right, we're here. I'll post a funny picture of us later on my page.
Yeah.
You can follow us.
Yes. Okay, so he also talked about how he does PR campaigns a lot. So like, I don't know. I think this is probably like a good example. Like when I go to his Instagram, he has posts of him being featured on like Yahoo Finance, Wall Street Journal, like kind of stuff like that. So also I think a good avenue for luxury. You know, when you think about it, like being published by people that, or platforms that give you authority in whatever space you're trying to make it in. In this example, it was luxury. So, yeah, and he talks a lot about too, like while he does SEO and PPC, he also focuses on like personal branding as well, because with personal branding, it's more about attracting people or clients or leads, whatever, that come to you and who are ready to work with you and feel like they know you, which makes them like you and then trust you. Versus, going out and trying to cold call and stuff. Not that cold calling's bad, but that's just what he focuses on. Another thing that he talked about was like self-care, making time for that. Making sure you look good, even if it's a t-shirt and jeans and shoes. If you can't take care of yourselves, no one is going to want you to take care of them.
Exactly.
So I thought that was good point. You want someone that's like put together, even if it's simple, and still be yourself, but like, show people that you're able to really take care of them, show them your strengths. Really, I just thought that was a good little tidbit that a lot of people can, especially in real estate and like any jobs with customer service, it's easy to put yourself at the back, but you really got to focus on yourself and show that you do take care of yourself and that you can take care of yourself and you can take care of others at the same time.
Yes.
And then the last little note I had was about one of his tips for someone asked about like what his best tip is for, I think, listing appointments. And he said that he always goes and researches as much as he can about the homeowners and the home, the property beforehand, and really tries to pick out different challenges that would, possibly help to focus on challenges that would block the home from being sold or that people would like have pushback on, and then focus in on how you're going to overcome those objections. That's what the word I was thinking of. How you're going to overcome those objections and sell it. And that's what has helped him to stand out in listing appointments. So thought that was good. I would say, so then we had the luxury women's panel. It was Talia McKinney, someone else with the name Talia, and she was the attorney girl. And then Frances Katzen, who's luxury real estate in New York. And then it was led by Veronica Figueroa, who's really big real estate influencer. And I feel like everything they said was a lot of repeat from Tal and Aaron. I don't have a lot of notes on there. It's just because I felt like I already wrote a lot of that.
What happened on Talia McKinney?
Yeah.
We're hopefully going to have her on here as well. She is one of SERHANT's top people, and literally glued herself to him. And the thing she said that stuck out to me, he told her over and over, she's got one deal and she's like, I want to make millions. I want to make millions. And he said, slow down, enjoy the process, learn the process, and the city will take care of you and everything else will be handled.
I like that. Yeah.
That was something that really resonated with me. And she was one of the people that I'd reached out to before we went to New York. And she was very human. Like, she embraced me. We met up and she chatted with me at the event. She has responded to, she's just a really, really awesome person.
Yeah. Very real.
Yes. So, and she's somebody that people could take some nuggets from.
Yeah.
But that would be probably the big nugget that I took from her was,
yes.
Hey. Yeah. So.
Yeah. And at the same time, while being very real and relatable, just closed a $35 million house.
Exactly. Before she walked on the stage. Like, it was.
And she even she hounded him to be on his team. So I would say there's like a, nugget of consistency and persistence. While that's motivation and stuff, it's just, don't no doesn't always mean, well, okay, depending on what you're talking about, because I don't want to say no doesn't always mean no, but because
I said that to you.
Yeah.
And I said, no doesn't always mean that it's done and it's over with. That means yes or yes in the future. Just win. There's a number for everybody, and there's a reason for you've just got to show your value.
Yes. Yep.
Your worth. So.
Yeah. So the other Talia girl has a legal power hour, and I have that Frances Katzen. She has a podcast called World of Real Estate. So those are ones I was going to look into. Next speaker was one of my favorites, Dina Golden Taylor. I mean, she's top individual agent in Miami, which is super impressive, and Miami Beach at that, which is again like ultra luxury real estate.
Exactly. And she said something that resonated with me when she's surrounded, like where she lives. She made sure she's the only agent around there. And that's something I can say true to myself in the building I live in Raleigh. And that's what I'm doing. I'm making sure I am the only agent in this building. When they think real estate, they think these condos at the West, it's me. I am their go-to. I am the downtown guru, this kind of thing.
Yes.
And she said something to that extent with the Venetian Islands.
Mm-hmm.
She doesn't want to drive down the road and see some other agent's sign in the yard every day when she leaves. So.
Always the worst.
But that's a good way to look at things. If you don't want to see it, then make things happen.
Yep.
Be the reason that your neighbors run to you.
Yeah.
You know that this is what you do. So.
Yeah. Well, and just like you said, she really harped on how staying hyper local to herself, or like to, I imagine it's probably like 20, 30-minute radius from where she lives, if that she focuses very heavily on.
She said she didn't go past 25 minutes most of the time, is what she said.
25 minutes. Okay.
Just because the one time she did, it did not work out well. Like,
yeah,
it didn't sell. So.
Right. But I think that's smart and that's efficient, and you really are able to get it's like the most efficient time for the face time you get.
But that's part of her brand too.
Right.
Because when she's trying to outbeat these agents coming from New York and LA, in Miami, she said, well, I'm right here. I'm able to put you face to face. I'm not sending you a box with a video kind of thing.
Yes.
I'm hands-on. So.
Yes, the box with the video. Yeah. I guess like people would get impressed by that, and then she'd go to the listing appointment and they'd be like, oh, look at this nice box. She's like, did they
thought about her
do a listing appointment in person? I don't think so.
I thought about her yesterday when I went on a listing appointment, and I was like, what would Diana do, Golden Taylor do at this point? And I have like this not flu-foo. It's a marketing plan put together, like a little packet that I can give a folder and everything. I was like, no, I'm going to go in there and be me and just be me. And I'm going to sell it based on, I know this community. I taught in this community. I have experience in this community. I own my first investment house in this community.
Yeah.
And I am part of that community, and they're going to get me one-on-one, and I understand their culture. I understand where they're from. I understand their needs, their wants, all that. And I walked out of that with that listing appointment with the coming soon signed.
Love it.
Live next week. So there was something to that where the OKC would have walked in there with all that, and then they would have looked at me like, "Oh, this is not personal." And before I even pulled out of the driveway, I had received a text from my client, and this is what he said. He said, I feel like you're part of the family. I feel like you're going to sell this, and this was the best decision we could have ever made. And I beat out other agents. So
that's amazing.
Yep.
For you, Case.
Yep. So, and it's all, I mean, I feel like it had a lot to do with this conference and Diana and Aaron and all them talking about confidence and being yourself.
Yep.
So it was a pleasure to meet you today. I felt more than comfortable with you. I felt like you were one of my family, and I believe in you. Let's get the money.
Let's get the money.
So, and that just, I don't know. So
I love it.
Something to say, you can put together these marketing things, but at the end of the day, you've really got to build that relationship with your clients.
Yeah. Well, and it sounds like she kind of does both, because I did put like how she uses her iPad and like has a presentation and shows them, like brings brochures of, like marketing materials that she could have made. But she said she does. Oh no, maybe she didn't. She didn't say brochures because she said she puts all of her money into digital media. Doesn't
Digital
do any-
media, and she builds a relationship with them.
Yep.
So,
Yeah. And so she really focuses heavily, sorry, there's a bug, on Instagram and makes it the prettiest and glossiest account that she can find. Yep. Own your own thing. Don't try to do everything. And then like with the branding, she's coined the term and actually trademarked it, step inside with me. So if you look at any of her YouTube videos or Instagram videos, it's all her at the end or in the middle or beginning going, step inside with me. And
step
it's so
inside.
cute.
And
It's so
she has that LLC or that branded or something where you can't steal that. She said,
Yes.
find the niche and
trademarked or something or copyrighted. I can't remember what the difference is, but yeah, I thought that was pretty clutch.
If you think about it, I've been thinking about what I say to people, and it's let's get the money. Like the more you make, the more I make.
Let's get the money. I like it.
So, and my client used those words on me yesterday, so it kind of went hand in hand with me trying to figure out that branding. What do I always end my pitches with?
Yeah.
So
love it. That's great, Case.
So what's yours? What do you say? What do you say every time?
Oh, I guess I got to come up with something.
You really don't. If you just listen to yourself with your next pitch or with your next client, it'll go hand in hand. You'll figure it out.
Okay.
Because you'll realize, oh my God, I say that every time.
Cool. Okay, so then we closed out with the two Bravo guys. Josh Altman was next, and he told his story. I mean, they both came from nothing, had no intention of getting into real estate, and then walked into an opportunity with it and just crushed it. And we're like both very consistent. Talked about they have way more losses than they have wins, but you see the wins from social media, or in their case from Bravo, and both were super funny, but also very inspiring. Both big on branding, personal branding again. So the one we loved from Josh Altman, or his little quote, he calls it ready, fire, aim, which normally it's ready, aim, fire. But he's like, no. You just got to fire and you figure it out as you go. Like you aim it after. And if you miss, it's how you bounce back and close. It's not about the failure.
And if you think about it, any of these people that are successful, that's what they do. They don't think about, oh God, how can this go wrong? They just do it, and then they work through the wrongs and use those wrongs as learning curves. So
literally our podcast, even we had no idea what we're doing. We just got started and we've been figuring it out along the way.
We started when it was Jump House or Clubhouse.
Clubhouse, yeah.
Clubhouse. And a fun story. We have our 100th episode coming up in April. So, and we don't fit everybody's mold, but if we're changing at least a few people's lives from this, then awesome. I mean, we're doing what we set out to do.
Rocky's cheering.
He agrees with this.
Yes.
Stoutman said something. Here's a nugget I took from him. He said that you're always going to want to be that person that, we just came back on. Apparently Rocky wants. You want to be that person that is a one-stop shop for everybody. You don't want them going to anybody else for anything. Oh, you need tape? Here, I got tape. Oh, you need a screwdriver? Here. You need this.
He's their concierge, he called it.
There's everything. You want to be that one-stop shop for your clients. You don't want them going anywhere else.
Yes.
Because that runs the opportunity of losing them. So.
Yeah. Well, and even he called it that he's like their concierge, but then he was also like, I also do connect with the hotel concierges because they oftentimes will let me know when someone's come in to look at real estate, and I'll be the first ones they call. So I thought that was a good
It was like an aha moment for me because we're building so many new hotels around us, and we have I've got 2 hotels right near me. And I was like, I need to start spending my afternoons happy hour sitting at those restaurants and bars.
Yep.
I need to get to know those front desk people. I need to walk through that front door every single time I go to the AC to meet somebody.
Yeah.
At the Hampton Inn, I need to get to know them instead of, well, I kind of already know people to wine bar from owning bars. But other than that, I mean, yeah.
Totally. Yes. And then again, common theme, the last thing he closed out with is, you know, a lot of people will say that he just got lucky in a situation or whatever. And he's like, no, I got lucky because I put myself in the situation to be lucky. His story or his example was that he would post up at, I think it was like the Hollywood Hills Starbucks, and he'd get his laptop out to work. He'd have the Wall Street Journal open to the listing, like the real estate listing page, have a bunch of MLS sheets like all put out.
Yep.
He was in real estate.
Everything screamed real estate.
And he'd face towards the door where he could like hear it ding and then see who walks in. And that's like, he picked up
the jingle bell. I was like, oh, that sounds like something I would say.
Literally, I'm like, a doorbell? Like,
and then he saw the tall guy walk in and he poured a whole cup of coffee away to walk back up there.
And buy another one so he could get in line with him and close an NBA player from that.
Yeah.
He's like, he was in the NBA, so I had to sign an NDA.
But it's funny that, I mean, he talks, everything he said is kind of true. When I go to these meetings, I watch the people that I really like to listen to. Yeah. And I'll strategically plan a bathroom visit to sneak out the door because they usually have the backstage people near like the bathroom or find your way. And I have met more people just trying to go to the bathroom than, you know, or in the bathroom at events. So it works.
So funny. So yeah, then closed out with SERHANT.
And SERHANT.
So I want you to talk about the and stuff.
So I'm reading his new book, Branding, which he should send me a free one signed.
Branding like SERHANT.
John, when you're listening to this, because I know you do, I need a book signed by him. So he has been my mentor, whether he knew it or not, from the moment I entered into real estate. I have followed, copied, and pasted what Ron Serhant has done. And from when he was nobody to everybody. And I know a lot of people don't agree with me. A lady sitting next to me at the conference didn't agree with a lot of these people, but that's a story for another day. He talks about when you're branding yourself, you need an and. When he first started out, he was Ryan Serhant and rentals. Then he was Ryan Serhant and luxury. And then he was Ron Serhant and pregnant women at Starbucks. He was Ron Serhant.
Story.
What?
Whole other story.
Yeah. But he's always did these ands, and that's where I get it. I am Casey Stires and Rocky. I am Casey Stires and a school teacher. I am Casey. You know, you just got to, everybody's got an and. Everybody does, whether they want to say they do or not, but everybody has one. And it's just what you do with that. Like I am now going through this rebranding phase because I've had my branding for 6 years. It's time. We do this with our bars. We do this with any business. After so many years, you need to do a rebrand, a revamp, and a facelift. I mean, look at us. Some girls do Botox. Some girls do highlights. Some girls do lip fillers. Some girls do all that. I mean, men do it too. You always need to be fresh. And that goes back to what Aaron Kirkman's saying. If you don't take care of yourself, nobody else. So you also need to take care of your brand. And that's where Ryan talks about sometimes simple, using the simple fonts, using the simple colors. When he first started, he thought purple was everything. He even painted his bedroom purple. And then he got to thinking, well, I'm not selling wine and grapes, so I need to do something different.
Or Barney.
Yes. So and that's where his whole blue theme and all that came from.
Yeah.
So I'm taking his book chapter by chapter and actually taking time to do the steps like he said.
Yeah.
and I'm hoping something great's going to come out of it. So, but he is a man that built from nothing, from chopping wood in Connecticut with his brother.
Yeah.
Hands person to on As the World Turns, which I used to watch growing up, and I do remember him dying on there. It was slightly sad, but I didn't connect the two because I'm not the best with celebrities. Clearly, if you know anything about me, and
Yeah, he didn't know who A-Rod was.
or O.J. Simpson.
Hysterical.
So yes, or Tom Brady. Like, it just they're people just like we are, though. At the end of the day,
Yes.
and he talks about how real estate he's building it from a tech world, and he wants to do something completely different than anybody's ever done and seen. Because he said, is it going to disappear? No, people are going to need agents.
Yeah.
But how are you going to stand out in a world where there's thousands upon millions of agents, and that's your branding and building those relationships? So he's built a small empire. That's not small, actually.
Oh God, yeah, literally.
So, and he's expanded. He told the story about Palm Beach, and the guy was a renter. And I've always said, renters, don't tell them no. They may turn into buyers. And this guy had a budget of $50,000, and he said, "Okay, $50,000. Well, have you thought about buying? What about Florida? It's a great time to buy now. It's COVID." And he was like, "Well, do you know Palm Beach?" "Yeah, I sell Florida. Yeah, I sell Palm Beach." He jumped on a plane, and he spent the whole entire night studying the school system, the roads, the restaurants, everything about Palm Beach. Did he know anything before the guy said that? No, but he just made it happen. So
yes, loved it. Loved it. It was so good. And yeah, just same with him, like rubbing elbows. Like he would go to with Equinox when he first got into real estate, so he could get his workout in, but then also at the same time be rubbing elbows with more great people, since Equinox is higher end gym.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, lots of stories like that. And then we closed out with Ricky Carruth, who, like we said, partnered with Juan Carlos, and his was a lot about personal brand as well. But he really harped on the fact and showed a lot of numbers about how this is going to be the best time to set yourself up.
If you're an agent, listen to this nugget. If you're an agent, listen to this nugget. It's important.
Yeah, right now is the time to really hone in on your branding, your marketing, your advertising. This is really putting the work in now is going to set you up for massive success in the next 2, 3, 4 years.
He said this is 2008 all over again. He said a chart, and they pretty much line. And what's going to happen? It's going to probably be another 2 years. But are you going to be on that ship or you're not? Now's your time. This is why I'm focused on rebranding so hard and changing things.
So just to cap this all out, so we got an email from Juan Carlos really summarizing everything. So there's 7 points that he sent out in a recap email. 1, find a mentor that has experience selling luxury real estate. Number 2, lead generate to bring them listings. 3, have them go on listing appointments with you and leverage their track record to help you secure the listing. 4, shadow them during the listing, marketing, and negotiation process. 5, get paid a referral fee at closing. 6, rinse and repeat until you have your own track record and portfolio of properties sold. And 7, reinvest 30% of your commission checks back into your business education and marketing. Loved that.
Yes. So
love it. So that was our recap on Goldbar. I guess if you have any other questions, again, DM us on Instagram or Facebook. I'm Halle B. McCrory on Facebook and on Instagram, and I'm Halle Beeler McCrory on Facebook. Casey, you want to shout yours out?
I am CB Stiers on Instagram and AC Stiers on Facebook.
Love it. And if you guys wouldn't mind, if you enjoyed this episode or any other episodes you've listened to, we would really appreciate a review on Apple and Spotify.
And we're looking for sponsors.
We are looking for sponsors.
Anybody that wants to get their name out there and their word of their business, and they're growing.
Yep.
Send us a message.
We're in like we get like 2,000 to 4,000 average listens to each episode right now. So we've got a lot of people listening in. We're coming up on our 100th episode, so we're really proud of this, and just love bringing value to you guys. So we're about to record another podcast and got to jump off for that, but we'll see you guys next week on another episode of Realtor Hacks, Tips, and Tricks. So
yes. And we'll do another one about our experience at SERHANT. So
yes. Oh yeah, you're right. We didn't get time for that.
So we'll do another one and like a behind the scenes kind of thing. And you can look at our live also on our pages. So have a great week. We'll see everybody next week. Bye.